Welcome back to Recruiting Blitz. My name's Tim Verghese. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Before we get started, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to check out our work over at InsideNebraska.com as we get closer to the season. Be sure to subscribe to our work over there. Season's just under 2 weeks away at this point, and so we're excited to get started. And yeah, we're closing in on game week. So on that note, we'll get right into it here. And just wanted to touch because we haven't talked about it here yet. Nebraska picked up a pretty big commitment on Friday from 2027 in-state safety Tory Pittman, the highest ranked in-state prospect and commit in recent memory. He ranks as the number 16 prospect and number two safety in the country per the Rivals industry rankings. Ranks even higher in certain places as the number one safety in the 2027 class. And you look on tape, and it's not really hard to see why. He's a maybe prototypically built safety. Right, just right around 6 foot, shade above 6 foot, right around 180 pounds right now. But you look at the tape, he's a guy that can come down and cover like a cornerback and flip his hips, turn and run with receivers and from press man coverage. But he could also drop back. And cover the middle third of the field, has like the true kind of sideline to sideline range you look for in elite safeties at this point in time. And he can also come down and strike. He's active in the run game. He comes down and hits. He's super active all over the field. He plays right here at Omaha Central. Plays all over the field for them, a contributor in all three facets of the game. Offensively, he's a supernatural receiver, really smooth route runner, pretty explosive in and out of breaks, tracks the ball well, just had a really good feel for space. I think I've seen him in multiple contexts at this point. I went out and saw Central in a couple games last year. I've seen him on the 7-on-7 circuit. I've seen him in practices. So I've seen him in a variety of settings. Obviously, he competes in track as well. Placed fourth at the Junior USA track and field. In the long jumps. He's an elite jumper for his age as well. And so there's a lot to really like in the overall athletic profile. And he's a really good football player. Like I said, I think the big thing with him, every time I've seen him, he's got a really good feel for space. And he's got really good instincts, both in coverage and just in terms of running routes. Has a really good understanding of where the DB is going to be, where he needs to be to best position himself to the catch. He's made some pretty remarkable catches when I've seen him. I remember a kind of a toe tap against the sideline last year when I saw him live in the season, just against the sideline. It was just again literally just got it both his feet, and so he's got a really good feel for space. And that's a big deal. Obviously, at safety, it's a position where you have to know your angles, you have to know space, you have to have a good feel of how things are moving around you, and he has that. He's got really good instincts, diagnoses players really well, knows where to be, opportunistic when the ball is in the air, pretty sure-handed at the catch point as well. And so there's a lot to like there. My people have asked me about it on X. People ask me about it on our board, kind of what a player comp looks like for him. It's not a one for one. I think it's unfair to ever comp someone one for one to an NFL player or a high level college football player. But I think comps are important for play style. I think that's something that kind of allows you to feel what does this player, who does this player play like, especially a safety position. There's so many different safeties in the league. You have your big rangy safeties that are kind of linebacker hybrids now, like your Kyle Hamiltons that are unique and kind of one of a kind. And there are a few more of those guys popping up. And then you have your more traditional, like, physical safeties that, primarily play in the box and, are your traditional kind of strong safeties. They can play in the box, they can fit the run. They are essentially just an extension of your run defense. But, they maybe you don't trust them on an island. Maybe you don't trust them kind of in a deep third, as a single high safety. And then you have, kind of your traditional, more like cover safeties, your like Jesse Bates types. And I'm trying to think of another like example like that. David Howard, I think, is another somewhat good example of that. Not really. Javon Holland, I think, is the name I was looking for there. But When you're talking about Pittman, you're looking at kind of like an all around safety, a guy that can do it all. Kind of the watching through some tape kind of reminds me a bit shades of Xavier McKinney in terms of play style. Again, bigger, like thicker, physical type safety that can play in the box, that can spin down and kind of be an extension of the run game, but can also kind of cover sideline to sideline. Has really good instincts. Um, at the catch point and knows how to cover. You think that was something Xavier McKinney, dating back to Alabama, was well regarded for, was just his ability to kind of stick in coverage and but also kind of explode downhill and hit. And that's something you see with Pittman is just that explosive downhill ability, the ability to diagnose, fit the run, hit people, and so I'm excited to kind of continue to watch Pittman develop over these next 2 years. I think if he continues to develop and stays on the right trajectory over these next 2 years, he has a chance to kind of join Nebraska in 27 and join Nebraska and have an opportunity to contribute from day one. That safety room is not getting any less crowded anytime soon, but Nebraska has a few elite commits. The 26 class and Danny Odom in the 27 class and now in Tory Pittman that have a chance to kind of join that room and contribute pretty early. So I'm excited to watch those guys, excited to kind of see what happens with Pittman's season moving forward. And so now for Nebraska, they're gaining some momentum in 2027, have a top ranked commit at the quarterback position in Trey Taylor, have the number two safety now in the country committed. So what's next? Who's Nebraska's next like 27 commit? It could happen sooner rather than later. I think there's a chance Nebraska exits here this 2025 football season with potentially five plus 2027 commits and kind of has a nice head start on that class. And I mean, in terms of who Nebraska's next commit is it going to be a 26? Is it going to be a 27? I think there's a few names you look at if it's going to be 26. Maybe names a little further off the radar. I think one to keep in mind. Those of you maybe forgotten or it slipped under the radar when Nebraska landed Danny Odom. They also offered one of his former teammates, Juju Johnson, a 2026 athlete out of Farrell, Pennsylvania. Those two go way back. Odom would like to play at the next level with Johnson. It's a bit of kind of like a package deal type thing. But Juju Johnson's also evaluating his own recruitment, has a few offers he's considering. But he recently told me he plans to be in Lincoln in September as soon as he can. Likely with Odom, he says if he when he makes the trip, it's going to be with Odom. There's a chance that just gets wrapped up while he's on campus. But when you look ahead to 27, I think there's a few options, a few more options there in terms of who Nebraska's next commit could be. It could be someone in state. It could be someone that plays with Pittman, like 2027 three-star running back Kylin Haney out of Omaha Central as well. Thick power back. We've talked about plenty over here and over at InsideNebraska.com. I've had the chance to see Haney in person a few times as well. Really, really a big fan of the player in person. He's becoming really physical running back with some intriguing top end athleticism. I think kind of is kind of overlooked for his size. Right under 6 foot. On the north end of 200 pounds at this point, has a wrestling background, has kind of a history of wrestling in his family. Runs with a really good center, like low center of gravity, a really good pad level, physical, but kind of has that now is kind of starting to emerge and show that top end speed to kind of separate from second and third level defenders. But also, I think with him, you're starting to see over the last this off season and late last year, he's able to contribute out of the backfield. He's becoming kind of more dynamic, kind of adding more to his game, and in Data Holgerson's offense, that's a really important thing, being able to catch in the backfield, produce. And he has big goals on the field this year. He aims to kind of clear. I think he told me clear at least 1,000, if not 1,500 yards this fall, and add a little more as a pass catcher. He's going to be the bell cow back for Central this year, and so I'm excited to watch him. And he's a guy that was visited Nebraska a ton, more so than Pittman. Every chance Haney's had an opportunity to visit, he's visited. The last time he was on campus was for the Battle at the Boneyard tournament in June, and he stayed active. He stayed in contact with the staff. Has heard from multiple members of the staff, Coach EJ Bartel, Matt Rule. Obviously Dana Holgerson a little bit involved there as well. So there's a few people involved there working to kind of keep Haney home. He's got a few other offers. Wisconsin's a school that's kind of on him right now. He's got some Big Ten interest, some regional interest, Kansas, a few other programs monitoring him. So we'll see how long he lets this recruitment play out. I know he mentioned he wants to kind of see kind of how many schools are actually interested and does want to do his due diligence. But at this point, you have to feel good about where Nebraska stands with him. And I think the question with him is ultimately going to be, when does he have the green light? When's he able to kind of make that announcement? There's some guys that, like a Pittman and Trey Taylor in Nebraska wanted to secure as soon as possible, but as they kind of manage spots and evaluate, they maybe a little hesitant with specific positions, not necessarily the caliber of prospect, but specific positions they're kind of slower on to kind of track development and see how these guys are, like where these guys are kind of entering their senior year. So Haney's one candidate I think could be Nebraska's next commit. Another one in state is Matt Erickson. Nebraska really likes him. Another one that's visited Nebraska plenty, was on campus, I think, for every single home game last fall, and maybe missed a game or two, but um, a Nebraska legacy is 6'8", 290-ish plus like right around 290 at this point. Offensive tackle, now at Millard West, finishing out his or Millard North, finishing out his high school career at Millard North after starting his career at Millard West. And kind of a true tackle kind of prospect at his size, but kind of has the versatility just in how he's developing to play guard or tackle. A guy that's developing, I think Nebraska wants to see how his junior year progresses, how those first 4 years of tape specifically go um, before really making a move. But he's a guy that I think as soon as he's got the green light and as soon as he's ready, has a chance to be Nebraska's next commit. Iowa State's coming hard after him. Iowa State's coming after him. He's got some kind of growing Big Ten and kind of Power Four interest. Notre Dame's a school that's been monitoring recently. I think Ohio State's been monitoring recently as well. So there's been an uptick in interest there. I'm curious to see if he does, kind of take his time and examine some of those national options, or he just shuts things down and continues the legacy. As a Nebraska legacy, as a guy that loves Nebraska. Again, like I said, was at every home game last year, I believe, and has visited for as many times as he can. I think since when it's allowed, when it's been an open period, when recruits have been allowed to visit campus. Erickson's pretty much been there for every big event over the last year or so. So again, very good shot that he ends up in Nebraska's class. This is kind of the timing of it at this point is what I'm waiting to see. And then there's a few others maybe further off the radar that I think have a chance to kind of lock in their spot in Nebraska's 27 class sooner rather than later. You look at the wide receiver position. Nebraska's after some elite pass catchers, with a wide receiver and tight end. But over the summer, they offered Justin Lindsay, a rising prospect out of Lee Summit North. It's the same program that obviously Jamar Mosey coached at, same program that produced Williams and Renari, Isaiah Mosey, Jameer Khan, all current members of the team. Lindsay, a 6'3" receiver, kind of jumped on Nebraska's radar at camp in June, was a favorite target of Trey Taylor by the end of camp in one-on-ones, and a guy that kind of showed the ability to stretch the field, play outside his frame, really good ball tracking ability, and just overall athleticism. I think he's in for a breakout year over there, at least up at North. Has a chance to kind of emerge as the next kind of top receiver out of the city. Picked up an Iowa offer shortly after the Nebraska offer. I think he's a guy that the secret's not out just yet. Those are his first two offers. Not a whole lot of other a couple other schools are monitoring, but not a whole lot of other interest or other offers to date. I think that's going to change very quickly, but I'm curious to see how long he lets his recruitment play out. He told me he wants to get back to Nebraska as soon as possible this fall, eyeing a visit for a game. Could be as soon as the Michigan game in September. And I think if that visit goes well, he would have been on campus multiple times. Quite familiar with Jamar Mosey, quite familiar with the staff. That's one that could get done sooner rather than later. Regardless, I really like Nebraska's chances of eventually landing Lindsay in the 2027 cycle. And then Nebraska's obviously looking to make a statement in 27. They're after two of the top offensive tackles in the country in Kennedy Brown and Mark Matthews, two five-star prospects in that class. I'm anticipating both are going to visit Nebraska at some point this fall, and both have told me they want to do it. Matthew said if it doesn't happen this fall, he for sure wants to get back in the spring to see Donovan Raiola coach in person at a spring practice. They're after Ahmad Hudson, the number one tight end in the country. I expect him to visit for at least one game this fall. I do know Nebraska is making an aggressive move there, trying to get that done, but it's going to be tough to pull him away from LSU, A&M's a program that's going to make that very difficult. Alabama in the mix, Ole Miss in the mix. So that's a recruitment that's only getting started. It feels like Ohio State in the mix as well. But again, I continue to have kind of positive buzz around Nebraska. I guess the best way to put it, positive buzz around Nebraska and Hudson, and there's just a lot of I guess what's the way to put it? Optimism about Nebraska's chances there, even while they recognize how difficult of a task it might be to pull them away. From LSU. On the defensive side of the ball, they're after elite athlete Juju Johnson. Again, I mentioned multiple Juju Johnsons here. This is a different one. This is a four-star athlete, number 23 player in the country, I believe, and top four cornerback in the country per Rivals. Considering a few schools, UCLA, Texas, Nebraska, in the mix. There was a recent update on him from Rivals is Adam Gorney on where things stand in his recruitment. Nebraska, kind of one of those schools standing out at this point. Again, that's a recruitment that is going to kind of play out. So not expecting a decision anytime soon, but I did just kind of want to mention Nebraska in the mix there, in the mix for a couple other elite safeties. In addition to Pittman, have a really have a chance to kind of put together an elite safety class when it's all said and done. But on that note, that'll about do it. I'm excited to see kind of how Nebraska's 27 class grows over the next few weeks. I do anticipate we'll have more visit updates very, very soon over at InsideNebraska.com. And we're closing in on game week. The next time we put out one of these shows, Nebraska will be preparing for a game later that week against Cincinnati, and we'll have kind of some names to know leading up to that in terms of just guys that will be watching that game closely, kind of what we're looking for as the high school seasons nationally kick off. And so be sure to check out our work over inside Nebraska.com. Subscribe to our channel here. Like this video as well if you enjoyed it. If not, leave me a comment below what I can do better. I always appreciate the feedback, and we'll be back with another episode next week.